Oh boy. So, over the past few weeks, one of the recurring themes that we have brought up here on this channel has been videos about player agents speaking out. In particular, player agents of prospects and guys that are looking to potentially making an impact with their NHL clubs in the near future. We've seen commentary from Red Wings guys, Axel Sandin Pellikka's agents, and Michael Brandsegg-Newgard's representation talking about their potential debuts in North America, but now we're shifting gears over onto the Montreal side of things. Because the guy whose name has been attracting the most attention in Montreal lore, honestly, there's a number of names that you could say take that title. Lane Hutson with his assists, Nick Suzuki with his 80 points, but ultimately, this is a video about Ivan Demidov, one more time. Yesterday we spoke about how the folks in Anaheim were interested in drafting him third overall, but ultimately decided not to. And in this video, we are diving into yet another article, this time going over some commentary by an NHL agent who manages Russian players. Take a look at this piece published on tvasports.ca by Kevin Dubé earlier yesterday. Ivan Demidov. Negotiating with the Russians is chaos, says the player's agent. This article is going to be linked in the description. You could go out there, check out that first link. And of course, it's on TVA Sports, so it is French. I had to translate it to English via the Google machine in order for us to read it, which is why I feel comfortable just going out there and reading verbatim what it says on here. While NCAA players are reaching agreements with their NHL teams one after the other within hours of being eliminated, the Canadiens could have to wait more than a month and a half after Ivan Demidov's elimination before finally being able to reach an agreement with him. Speaking about that, yeah, even the Montreal Canadiens are getting involved in signing NCAA guys. Cough, cough, Jacob Fowler signed yesterday. Fantastic. Those dreaming of seeing the Canadiens secure a playoff spot and see Demidov arrive as a savior will have to lower their expectations. The Habs stars in the final year of his contract with SKA in a deal that expires on May 31st. The problem is that there's no longer a transfer agreement between the NHL and the KHL, a move taken by the NHL to protest the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Thus, the two circuits have essentially cut ties. They no longer exchange information or settle contractual disputes. Huh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that the transfer agreement's demolition came as a result of that particular event. But we all recognize the obstacles that this has for Montreal and for Ivan Demidov. Demidov's not being played, and he's been inconsistently deployed, and he gets points, and he does all these crazy good things because, lo and behold, he's a great player. But Roman Rottenberg wants to send that message to this guy that, hey, you're not going to re-sign with us? Well, we're going to punish you because of it. Ultimately, it's a big stone in the path of Ivan Demidov's career. One that will inevitably be kicked to the side, but one that is still there regardless. Let's go back over to the article here. Total chaos. Communications have therefore become extremely difficult for all stakeholders working on this side of the Atlantic. It's chaos, an agent who represents Russian players told us, but who prefers to remain anonymous precisely because of the sensitive cases he has to handle. In Demidov's case, the Canadiens couldn't simply buy out the remaining months of his contract and lure him to North America. The only option would be to negotiate his release with SKA in good faith and hope the team agrees to terminate his contract prematurely, which seems unlikely. That is an option that I think Montreal and Kent Hughes probably would have done by now if it was actually a possibility. If that KHL team could be bought, if they went all Ted DiBiase, $1 million man in this situation, hey, everybody's got a price, everybody's got to pay. If they just went down that path and they were like, okay, great, you can give us however many million rubles needed to make this trade, not even trade, but like this transaction go through, they probably would have done it by now. It's the Montreal freaking Canadiens. They get a lot of money. Their revenue is pretty good year by year. They're one of the most exciting teams in the NHL. They would be able to afford it. But the KHL and the folks over at SKA, oh, they are not to be bought, and their players are not to be bought out. The player agent that is interviewed here then says you have to understand that in the KHL, it's a case-by-case basis. The clubs have the upper hand, and it all depends on the relationship they have with the player in question. If the club tries to re-sign a player, it'll be much more difficult to reach an agreement with an NHL team. In Demidov's case, what counts against him is that he's still eligible to play in the MHL. That complicates his case, adds this source. Now, we have made multiple videos going over the idea of Demidov playing in the MHL after his KHL team gets eliminated, and thus having SKA really use as much of this guy as they can before his contract expires and before he leaves. This is what the article goes out there and says. This hypothesis has been raised several times in recent weeks. Once eliminated, SKA could decide to send Demidov to the MHL to complete a season. It's also worth noting that SKA is trying every possible means to convince Demidov to sign a contract with them, something the young forward has refused to do since the beginning of the season. This is believed to be one of the reasons for Roman Rottenberg's haphazard use of the young forward this year. Despite finishing first in team scoring and breaking Kirill Kaprizov's record for most points in the KHL by a player under 19, should say under 20 because junior player, Demidov was only used for an average of 13.45 per game during the regular season. Which of course is not ideal, but, we've been talking about this all year. I don't think anybody's surprised to hear it anymore. Canadiens fans could experience even more frustration, though, in the coming weeks, as it appears that SKA is ready to negotiate the end of their captain Alexander Nikishin's contract so that he can make the jump to the NHL with the Hurricanes. Nikishin recently hired Kent Hughes' former firm Quartex Management to represent him on this side of the Atlantic. Nikishin, 23, has quote-unquote paid his dues by playing in the KHL for 5 seasons. And that is exactly what we've been talking about too, with the contrast between Ivan Demidov and Alexander Nikishin, two guys who are both on SKA St. Petersburg, but who have gone through some very different developments from player to player. Nikishin was a later round pick that inevitably played some really strong hockey with SKA for years. Demidov was a hot prospect. He was taken high in the draft. He was a lot of things heading into the 2024 NHL Entry Draft. And everybody kind of knew that this was going to be the path for him. He would inevitably be an NHL projectable player that would do amazing things right away. You didn't have that same guarantee with Nikishin, even though I will say there were a lot of folks that were super high up on him, but it certainly wasn't as mainstream as Ivan Demidov's dominance has been displayed as in SKA this year. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How does this make you feel? All of this new information that we are picking up on in regards to Ivan Demidov and his very difficult situation in Russia. How we are now seeing folks like player agents speaking out about the situation as a whole and just illuminating how tough it is for Ivan Demidov to break through. It's chaos this agent is going out there and saying. Thoughts in the comment section below. The article is going to be linked in the description. There is a little bit more info to read about from that piece, so it'll all be available in the description. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.